Okay, hello. I had quite a few delays tonight, but we're here. And I'm going to give some time for people to log on because maybe they thought it wasn't happening. I don't know. So I'm going to take a deep breath for myself and maybe for you as well. How are you guys doing over here? Yeah? I get a sideward glance. Fantastic. I thought so. Totally fantastic. My goodness. Well, let's just start with now. Do not tell me you didn't know there was homework. I posted it. I tagged you. I don't want to hear any jokes that you didn't know about the homework. So, you can put your foot in my face. I don't care. So tell me, anybody want to volunteer about their experience with the homework that I definitely told you about? No, nobody wants to talk. As usual. That's okay. All right, there's an edge to my voice. I'm going to calm down. This is my homework. You see it? Printed out, paper. It's a lot of words. It took a lot of effort.
I did my homework from 2 weeks ago.
I would love to hear about your homework for 2 weeks ago.
Do you want me to read it?
Yes, please, Miguel. Just in a nice loud voice so they can hear you.
Hold on a second, because I keep coughing. Okay, you ready?
Yeah, loud, loud, loud. Hey, Wendy. Hey, Christine.
Loud, loud, loud.
Yes.
My brain is an asshole.
My brain is an a-hole if you didn't hear that.
Why is it that the most...
Go ahead.
Yes, my brain is an a-hole.
Yes.
Why is it that the most awkward and embarrassing moments of my life play over and over again in my head like a sitcom rerun? I know every word. I feel every excruciating twinge of embarrassment. I can rehearse and relive every minute, every minute detail. Why is it that even though it upsets me and makes me anxious to have these thoughts, I feel powerless to purge them from my consciousness? My good memories are hazy. Positive thoughts are rare and fleeting. They just appear like a fart in the wind. But my worst and most painful memories are omnipresent, always lurking, indelible. Why is it that my brain becomes locked for hours on end, repeating this torture? Minutes lost, hours lost, paralyzed in panic and just... My brain is an asshole. For all the time I've spent doing yoga, I still struggle to disconnect. So I disconnect artificially with drugs, with food, with alcohol, with sex, with everything and anything. It's the only sure way I know how to subvert that asshole brain. But this coping mechanism is unsustainable. So why is it that my brain is an asshole? Why is it that meditation is so hard for me? That's as far as I got.
Wow. That's really powerful, Mike. Yeah, thanks for sharing that. And I think...
Welcome. I told you I did 2 pages.
What's that?
I told you I did 2 pages.
That's amazing. So, I mean, if you're not sure what Mike was just reading, when we had begun to talk about, you know, personifying emotions and things like that, he was questioning why his brain has this resistance, and he was calling us like, my brain is an asshole. So I said that's like definitely at least a chapter, if not an entire book, perfect title because of his personal experience. But I'm sure so many people can relate to kind of feeling victimized by their own thoughts and experiences. So I mean, I would keep running with that because the more you speak about it loud and clear, like that, I feel like it's going to make a breakthrough for you, for sure. And I just, you know, I'm always humbled when somebody can be so brave and share like that. So, Mike, you know, thanks so much for sharing with our community. That's amazing. So mine, I did specifically on an emotion, and I chose anger because well, because why not? But because it's not really an emotion that I usually hang out with, so to speak. So yeah, it felt so easy to start writing about it. And then last night when I went to finish it, because I was like, all right, I know I need to read this out loud, but I really didn't want to. Right? I really didn't want to. I didn't even want to finish it. Everything just kind of like slowed down. So, you know, it's important for me to share that with you guys, because I don't want you to have this skewed viewpoint of how I function. I function just like anybody else. Perhaps the main difference than with myself and most people is that I choose to push through into it. Like I choose to really go into it. So I went in. I went in just like Mike did, and this is what I got. Here we go. I am not this anger. That's the title. Anger as a negative emotion may be easy to identify. The driver who screams a slew of curses, even in just typical traffic. The partner whom is quick to use hands or objects instead of conversation. Sometimes even the petulant child, not getting their way, throws their body to the ground and screams. But what happens when anger is not your typical language? What happens to the people around you, or for that matter, the house, the body in which it dwells? This proverbial wheelhouse of emotional comfort. Wow, the familiar ways in which I perform my tasks, all rattled. Frustration has been brewing for some time, surely, but anger? I'd like to say that I tentatively stepped into this place, but no, folks. I didn't even know I had entered, let alone rushed in, keeping my shoes on and leaving dirt and scuff marks all over the damn place. A not-so-little voice says with a surly slight, "Does it matter?" Does what matter? Does it matter that you're chaotic and reckless? Everyone else is. Well, usually it does, voice. Sheesh, who am I arguing with? Uh-oh, my pages are out of order. Hold on a second. Okay. No, everything is effed up, Vanessa. People are dying too young, leaving kids and their families in a sodden mess. We are a divided people, and not even in two sides. It's basically a free-for-all of hate. And the words continue on as if I had been holding theater rehearsals in my head for all eternity, and this was my big chance for my monologue, my diatribe. Now I've done it. I've stepped into the spotlight and allowed it to happen. I can feel the fear growing, like a raging forest fire sucking all hope out of the room, along with the breath that had once inhabited my lungs. My chest tightens, and the space between my joints lock into a solid place with a vengeance. If I took a moment, just even one, I would probably realize how achy and depleted I am. But instead, I feel clenched and ready to fight. But I don't know this. Not actually. All I know is that everything is pissing me off. Everything and everyone is wrong, and no one is taking care of my needs. My mind races to Jack Nicholson's, "I'm drowning here, and you're describing the water." Crap. So what now? I find my husband and start complaining immediately. Another version of me floating somewhere overhead looks down with disapproval. I pay her no mind. And within minutes, my husband is so confused by my energy that he is feeling completely attacked. Good. Let's fight. I throw the boxing gloves down and let him have it. After all this energy has to go somewhere, and he seems a willing target. He says something, I throw a left hook. He tries to dodge it, but the scathing negativity skims his chin, and his head is spinning. I feel instantaneously damaged as well. My husband, exasperated, keeps saying, "What's wrong with you?" How dare he tell me something is wrong with me for expressing my emotions? The fire grows, and even though our voices aren't breaking any sound barriers, the intent is so circularly undermining that my brain is also trying to flee. The me above pushes it back down into my skull and says, "Cut the crap, Vanessa." I don't hear her, but I feel the pressure. My crown chakra is throbbing. Somehow the imaginary ref has called a time, and we go to our respective corners. My breathing is choppy and shallow. My arms are crossed and tight, and my face is ugly. Minutes fly by, and we have remained in our corners, respecting the stay-put energy the outside forces have lent us. My husband asks in a softer voice, "Are you okay?" "No, not really." Pause. I am really, really angry about Addie and Lori dying. I can't believe they both died this week, Bill. He puts a flat palm on my upper back. I break into loud sobs, and the resistance of all other change comes swelling up tsunami fashion. Big splashy tears dive onto my chest in rapid-fire succession. Not knowing any other concepts or tools at this moment, I rely on my husband's post-fight patience to secure my physical being back into this plane of existence. My feet eventually find the ground, and I spill all my worries out, this time without accusation. The fire turns into rushing water, accompanied by aftermath debris. It's messy, and it leaves tiny cuts on my insides. Internally, I whimper like an injured animal licking its wounds. At this moment, I am that animal. My brain tentatively moves the gears into neutral. Oh, thank the Lord. I believe the driver is back. Floating Vanessa settles down next to me, petting the bruised alter ego. My breath has also forced its way back in, and I start to feel parts of my body reattaching themselves with each exhale. I come to awareness, realizing my husband has endured a small and confusing battle. My right hand seeks refuge inside his big palm. She rests semi-flatly onto this familiar place, and at some point, fingers hug fingers forgivingly. We sit in silence, processing and holding space for these damn feelings that are too big for this body. There is no time here in this place of big emotions. It is a land of continuous surprise and readjustment. Perhaps anger has its own plans. Maybe it wants to mess me up, to hurt others, for me to share my pain, because misery loves company. No. Or maybe it's urging me to use my voice, to be authentic, to feel it fully, and experience the intenseness of love. Because here is the other side of it. Anger has called for movement in my life, in your life. It has not told you to yell at the other drivers. No, that name is actually impatience, and we'll talk about that another day. No, anger has called you to experience, to change, to make inquiry, to seek and destroy your doubts. Battleship down. No matter who has sunk it, I am decidedly no victim to my emotions. I am a freaking sacred warrior, drawing lines and boundaries and embodying all of it so it can move on, move through. Is this interesting? I'm missing a page. One moment, please. Not intended. This is what happens. I could be angry about this. And when anger comes again, as old lessons and bad boyfriends do, I will look deeply into its hurting and say, I know this sucks, but let's put the torch down and let's make a campfire instead. Okay. I love that my pages are all messed up and everything. It's perfect for the writing, right? It's like, that makes perfect sense that nothing's in order. So, I don't know. I hope part of that spoke to you in some way. Reading it again, especially not editing it 5 million times, even though I was really planning on it as if I was writing a book, To me, it felt really necessary to change, or rather transmute, an energy that I'm super uncomfortable with. I'm really uncomfortable with feeling that angry. I want to hurt things. I want to hurt myself. I want to hurt objects, people, whatever. I'm, not above those thoughts or those feelings. So when I didn't know that it came on like that. I really wasn't aware of it. So I'm like really aware of all my feelings, right? And that one, it just caught me off guard. I wasn't prepared, so to speak. So finally, when I realized what was happening, and that was with definitely the help of my husband, writing about it in that fashion was very different than sitting in my journal and complaining. It felt like what it needed to feel like. It felt transformative. It felt like acknowledgement that, some things are really, really uncomfortable. Some things are really, really heavy. And how can you learn to be there if you're just always trying to change it? Always trying to kind of minimize it. Like, oh, I'm not going to feel like that. It will change over time. But when there's a big emotion, and we're using like the basics, like anger, sadness, happiness, give me another simple emotion. I'm calling them simple, but it's like basically the giant categories and there's subcategories of emotion, right? Fear. Right? So maybe that's a good idea. Maybe I'll list like the simple emotions, and then we have subcategories of each. Like how I said at first, anger is like the angry driver, right? But then later on realizing that it's like, well, it's really impatience that probably causes that, and then it turns up as anger. Like how we deal with it and what comes out is the complexity of humanity. How we show up for it, right? So me as a driver, I don't get angry like that. Maybe it's because I'm patient, or maybe it's because I'm compassionate, or maybe it's just because I'm like, as long as we're safe, I'm cool. Maybe it's partial anxiety of like not being safe. Like that's all. My main concern is just that we're safe, we're traveling safe. So I think it's important, as kids, I always say, the ones that are struggling the most are the ones that don't have that emotional ID and come on to a regular basis. But adults have these issues where they're not really diving into, even the primary categories, and then the secondary ones, they kind of just fall by the wayside, because who wants to feel a so-called negative emotion for more than 5 minutes? Like, I don't think you really want to, right? So we kind of just gloss over it and like pretend it didn't happen and pretend that's not me. And there's the flip side as well, where somebody who seems, and the people know who I'm talking about, who seems like they have this sunny disposition, obviously nothing's going wrong in their lives, or they're just immune to it. And if that's the case, what happy pill are you taking? Because it's not true, right? Nobody is happy all the time. Nobody is peaceful all the time or forgiving all the time. It's not the case. We're humans. And it doesn't make you any less of anything. In fact, I feel like experiencing big emotions in that way, when you can really dive into it, when you can call your brain an a-hole and be like, why are you being like this, right? And really address it. I really feel like there's breakthroughs happening with that. There's going to be peace coming from that, because now we've acknowledged it. We haven't pretended that it's not happening. We haven't ran away from it. If you're the person that when conflict shows up tends to shy away from it, right? I can say that I've been like that my entire life, but the truth is that if I think back to it, if there was a reason to fight for something, like in my family or whatever it is, I would, so uncomfortable, but like over time, I would definitely, be like, all right, well, I'm ready to do this because I know it has to be done. But in daily life, I think there are certain types of people that they don't want to have that possible confrontation. So when I'm speaking to those people, particularly right now, I just want you to remember that every time you do a smaller confrontation, every time you bring your voice to that and show up with authenticity, meaning truthful intent, truthful words, like you're not kind of circumventing things. And I think that's not just a win, that's like you're really allowing yourself to dive into the emotion. And the more you get under your belt, the easier it is to realize that not every little confrontation is going to feel so big. It will get easier and easier and easier, right? If you're a person that doesn't like going on the phone and even ordering food, I know a few of those as well, right? The more you do it, we have these situational things that we have to just start to kind of, all right, I can do this. I can build up that confidence. I can do this. And that type of confidence spills over into the rest of your life. So as seemingly insignificant as these things seem to be, they're not. The more you can confidently do things that you're uncomfortable with, and maybe like reading to the public or whatever it is, you're doing some big work. I haven't acted in years. I can't imagine what it would feel like to read what I just wrote as a monologue on stage. I mean, I'm shaking even like now, just in the aftermath of that. But I know how important it is to do things like this, because if I can speak to just one person, and I know there's more than that, one person that will get something from that, something from what Mike said, something from what we all say as a community, well, then this time is worth it. So, how are you guys doing over there? That was a lot of stuff to take in. You're okay? Okay. So, my friends, so on Zoom, because you guys can reply faster, Mike, can I just ask you how you felt after you wrote those 2 pages? Did you do it in one sitting?
Yeah, like the day after, it's like Monday, the day after the meditation. And it was all at once. It came out like...
Perfect. Bleh. Yeah, like a vomit. Exactly. I think that's why I had a hard time finishing it too, because the first part I did all in one sitting. And then when I came to the last, I was like, this isn't quite finished. It needs like another page probably. And that's why it was harder, because I had stopped. So I think it's important to understand that as well. Like when you're writing about something deep and you're like on that roll, go as long as you can. And if you have to stop, make sure you come back to it quickly. Otherwise you kind of lose that momentum and that wanting to get it out. You kind of go back into a safe place maybe. So if you're verbal or writing vomiting, just let it be. Anybody want to share anything? No, think about it, don't think about it. Okay. So even if you didn't do any writing, if you're going to think about doing writing, even thinking about it, what emotion would you want to really address? Think quickly.
Given what's come up for me this week, I think rage is what I'm going to target.
Rage. Perfect.
Yep.
So rage is one of those interesting, complex emotions because I feel like it's a combination of passion and anger. Maybe there's something else that you want to add to what it feels like, but that's what rage feels like to me, that it's uncontrollable, maybe?
Maybe. I don't know yet. I just know that this is a step beyond anger at this point.
Yeah.
What's going on right now for me is a full, probably leap beyond anger. So, to the point that I actually, nothing could distract me. I couldn't do the homework. I couldn't do anything this week, but just process what was happening.
So this is right. So we have these categories, and then we have the subcategories, which I call them like the more complex emotions, which are combinations of emotions, and then also levels. So if we in my body work or medical field as well, we use a pain scale from 1 to 10, 10 being the worst pain, right? I think if you gave it a level, that would be a good start for you. And then you can see how that works.
Is 50 a choice on that scale?
Sure, you can be like 10 times 5. Yeah, and then...
Because I'm hitting all the subcategories. As you said, subcategories are like they're all there.
Yeah.
They're all there. It's anger, it's pain, it's frustration, it's shame, it's embarrassment. They're all there. They're accounted for and present, like roadies at a concert.
You better
They're
write that
all there.
down. Write that down for your writing, because that's exactly what you're experiencing. Good. Chris is saying anxiety. Yeah, so I think what's fascinating is like kind of anxiety, it's definitely more of a complex one as well, but it's one that people experience nowadays on a more frequent level. It's more of a chronic thing in a way. But all important. So rage, yeah, very, very high, and a feeling of out of controlness. There's definitely that level to that. Because the other part that I have to say too is that when we're in a good place, and I say good place meaning like when we're feeling more in control, right? We're feeling most like ourselves. It's very easy for me to say, hey, like, let's do a grounding exercise. Let's clear the channels. Let's do all these things. I can tell you how to get there pretty easily. And then when the emotions are just like, wow, really high up and off the charts like that, in the moment, like I said in my writing, I lost all tools. There was no tools there. I could think of a tree. I could think of this. Nothing's going to work. The tools aren't even like in my playlist at that point. So that's why we have to practice this on a daily basis, so that when you're in it, like when you're really in it, you need to go to the 50th tool. And part of one of your tools could honestly be another person that is holding space for you. So don't forget that. Don't ever think that like, I don't offer that as a tool. Of course that's a tool, because that's why we call friends. That's why we have community, because sometimes it really is like too much. What I write, too much for this body to experience. It's too much. So, and then when you get down a couple levels, you can start accessing those things that make you feel better, that make you feel like yourself, that make you feel more grounded. But when you're really, really in it, it feels impossible. So don't think you're alone in that. Just remember that, like, it doesn't mean you're failing. It just means let's go through the emotion. Let's go through it. And part of the ways of going through it is, if it's really, really intense and high up, you might need to cry. You might need to scream. You might need to go, let's not punch a person, let's punch a pillow or something like that. You might need to go for a really fast walk or a hike. Like, you have to get some of that energy out, right? Somehow. It has to go somewhere. And then after the physical exertion, you can get back into your body, so to speak, which means like all parts of you kind of come back. And then you can start accessing those tools again. You guys get what I'm saying, right? Like I'm basically just saying, I fully acknowledge that when you're really, really high up and really in it, the regular toolkit is probably not going to be accessible. That's not the way the brain works, and that's fine. So just remember that, like, you have to have the next level ones, which are usually more physical, because we have to get that massive amount of energy out so that we can start to chill. Okay. Any questions about any of this stuff? So don't forget, this is not limited to Sunday nights. So if like you have questions and you don't feel like sharing, you can message me. But if you have questions and want to post in community and like, possibly help somebody else when we answer, just don't forget that that's here as well. So when Chris was writing he said anxiety, I also just want to say that anxiety levels vary from person to person. I can treat somebody and I can feel what I call like a low-grade anxiety. I'm like, you have like chronic low-grade anxiety. Are you aware of that? And some people are actually not aware of it. They're like, oh no, I feel fine. I'm like, which means to me that they're so used to it, they don't even read it on their scales. But the other ones are like, oh yeah, I know. And the energy feels like this shaky vibration. So when energy is not grounded, like even right now, like even though I'm talking pretty steadily, I'm actually purposely attending to my voice. I'm trying to keep it steady. I'm trying to regulate my breath as I speak, because what's really coming up for me is like a bubbling in my stomach. It's more than butterflies. I can feel it. It's ungrounded chi. And it just starts massing right into your center points, right in the abdomen. So don't be fooled thinking that, people that are used to being in the public eye, oh, they're used to it. They're used to it. It's like that. No, it's just some people are able to manage it better in the moment. But there's also an after effect, like I was saying, the aftermath of that giant emotion, where I felt like there were little cuts and scrapes and bruises, and I could feel that. And because there's a letdown, so you get like an emotional letdown after such a massive thing. It's like a hangover. That's when you need to be very, very aware. Like, this is not the time for me to make other phone calls. This is not the time for me to go and do extra stuff. You need to be nurtured. So we always go back to, like, it's not just self-care. It's asking for some support. When I have you on the table, I put a bolster underneath your knees so your back is supported. That's your physical stuff. When you have an emotional letdown or hangover, it can feel really depleting. It can also feel really confusing. Anybody know exactly what I'm talking about and know what that feels like? So maybe have some words of what does that feel like?
I just feel exhausted when that
Exhausted.
happens.
Okay, right. So I say like depleted, basically like it's almost borderline numb, because it's such a huge wave, and then afterwards it's like, oh, either there's nothing left, or like some part of me has kind of closed shop for the day. I'm like, that's enough. We've had enough experience today. Right? That's kind of a nice way of saying it. Like, yeah, that's enough. We've seen all the action we need to today, and now we're going to be done. So yeah, you have to have space for that. All right. We started late, and we're starting late on a meditation, and it's perfect. It's all it needs to be. I'm going to put my writing up. I don't know. I kind of feel like I really want to continue with this exploration of emotions. If anybody wants to add, I'd like to make a book, and maybe I'll post on this. Basically like these human emotion experiences, and we'll come up with something about that. But I feel like it could be a really amazing thing for people to contribute to and feel a part of, and know that we're not alone in this absolute insanity. And to not be scared of feeling it. Like, don't be scared of it. So it's uncomfortable, and that's the best word I can come up with. But sometimes it's really super uncomfortable, and then we feel like absolutely petrified. What are we going to do? But you can do it. You're doing it already. Every day you're a little uncomfortable with something. It's just, we're going to move through it. Sometimes you need extra help, though. All right. What kind of meditation do we do tonight? Kind of wish I had my drum, but I don't. So, take the deepest breath in of the entire day. I want you to bring it all the way up, way above your head, far, far, far above your head. If we're having big emotions, I want you to gain it so far up the head, like you climbed a mountain and you're getting a little wheezy, and now it's time to just let it go all the way down. Let it slide down really, really fast. And maybe there's a big sigh that happens. You can always bring your body up into it as well, right? All the way up. If it's even more excess, you want to make a nice big sound. And you might notice if you're really releasing a lot, right? If you're really releasing the excess, you might get kind of lightheaded after breathing like that. So, you're safe. You're seated, comfortable. You're not going to faint anywhere. So now all you need to do is allow for that breath to drive the intention. So if I tell my breath, all I want to do in the next moment is to feel heat go down my body, well, that breath is going to do it. It's going to bring it all the way through the entire body. Feel like a warm, warm light. And let it reach all the way down past the feet. And for this one, you can imagine it just exploding out through the bottom of your feet. So let that happen at least a couple of times. And as it goes this deep, to this deeper level, well, as the heat builds up with the breath work, with the pranayama that you're doing, become very aware of how light can change everything. I'm a big proponent of not saying that darkness is bad and not saying that light is good, because that's just not how energy functions. Energy is just energy, and it's the intent behind it of what we're doing that drives it. So if you have dark colors in your visions, if you have black in your visualizations, it does not mean it's bad. And same thing with meditation. If you feel like you're struggling to get into this place of peace, then let go of the struggle, because the struggle is only from judgment, and nobody is judging you here. Your body, your mind, everything about you is doing the best that it can. And every cell of you is listening with deep, deep want of what to do. How do you want me to vibrate? What do you want of me? What do you want me to do in this life? And instead of making grand plans or judging it, just give it a nice deep, deep breath and say, in this moment, I want you to vibrate at your highest level. I want you to release anything that is not serving us and find a way to be in unison. What would it take for me to just be here? So emotions, I think the most amazing thing about them is that they do come in like a person, they do drive things. They can feel completely out of control and don't make sense, or they make too much sense. So forget the entanglement of the emotions. Begin to bear witness to it, as if you are the narrator. And the narrator really has no judgment. They're just there to tell the story. So now tell the story of your life. Tell the story of how amazing you are and how you're working to be the best of you every day. And every part of you has agreed to this. Every part of you. That means that your body wants to receive healing in all its forms. That means that your body is ready to do so. So in the next breath, you're going to take a purple flame, super vibrant, and let it start from your third eye, right in between the eyebrows. And we use the breath to stoke this fire, a nice purple flame. You can have it however you want, sticking straight out, sticking above your head, whatever it is, or feeling inside your head, right on the pineal gland. It doesn't matter to me. Just get there. Good. So this purple flame only grows brighter with each breath. Can you feel the heat of it? Can you see how vibrant it is, or is it just kind of dull right now? Remember, meditation is not just to bring peace and calmness, it's to draw the attention. So if your attention is fleeting for a moment at a time, then for all intents and purposes, you bringing it back to the next set, the next few breaths, is success. You attending to the next breath as if it was a 30-minute meditation is success. So here you go, just going one breath at a time. Oh, I can see it for this one breath. And then a thought comes in. So what? So you dive into this purple flame, and now I want you to actually bring your whole body in it. So watch this purple flame really just grow. This is not normal fire. This is the healing transmutation purple flame. This is of all divinity, of all creation, and it transmutes, it changes things, it brings it back into holiness and amazingness. So get into that purple flame. I want you to go into it with your entire being. If you have to shrink yourself down and to get to the small flame, that's fine. If you have to get larger and larger and be in the heat, just do it. Find a way to be there. I want the purple flame now to grow as if it's your aura. So your aura can expand and really like go out far. And then if we don't want everybody to be taking our energy and we don't want to experience everybody else's stuff, we kind of draw the aura in like a little cloak. And the purple flame right now is going to be your aura. So you're going to expand it as far as you can because there's nobody with you in your vision. As wide as you can. You're going to see the layers and the boundaries of each part of the flame. You're going to feel how it's not just warm. There's coolness. There's like a shock to it. There's an energy that you couldn't really say in words. This is a healing flame. When I'm treating, I use tons of tools to aid me, to help people, right? Sometimes I forget that I can use the tools and not just my energy. And then I take a stone, and then I take a drum, whatever it is. And now in this vision, you're going to use the flame. It's going to come all around you, extend it all the way out. You and the flame are one. And you can start to play with it and control it. You can shape it and see what it feels like. What does it feel like to stand in it, to be in it, to become it? And notice your breath as you do this. It might not be steady. It might not be long. But I bet it's really powerful. When we cultivate energy, prana, chi, whatever you want to call it, there is a distinct feeling that comes with it. There's a powerful feeling that happens with it. We're cultivating it. We're not just using it. No, we're like really gathering it. And it grows and it goes into all parts of us and outside parts of us. So here you are, basically growing and energizing not just your physical being. We're allowing transmutation of the entire outer body of us. Continue with this breath, just noticing, is it long? Is it not as long as I'd like? Is it a little too shallow in the chest? Whatever it is, and you can choose to work on it or not. Drawing the boundaries of the purple flame now, I want you to make a big circle around yourself as if you have like a lasso, and you just make a huge circle of the flame all around you. And then take note, how big around you is it? Is it only a couple of feet? Can you get it larger and larger? Is it like, galaxy-wise? Is it just huge? What's happening? Now, the bigger it gets, there might be more space. And when we have space around us, what we generally like to do is fill it up with stuff. So if your mind is starting to fill up that space, what I want you to correct it with is just one thing. More purple flame. And then we're going to simply allow what we would imagine celestial like space to be. Okay, so if you want to see shooting stars, if you can sense that, I want you to feel them zipping by you really, really fast, and I'll give you the energy towards it. So it's like they're coming through at you super, super fast. This might change your breathing a bit, and it's all good. We're just experiencing what it's like to have things rushing by us. And remember, there's nothing else around us, so we're expansive and also experiencing it running through us. So fully get there. Can you feel it? Can you see what's happening? There's no room for any other emotion right now here. We're just experiencing how big and how vast the outer worlds are as they rush by us. And that purple flame is basically just holding court for us, just letting it happen, knowing that we're safe, completely safe, and also feeling everything expand, 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 expand until everything shooting away from us, through us, going around us, starts to slow. And then sense what the breath is doing right now. Contact your heartbeat. See if that was really excitatory. See what was going on. Maybe it made you perspire a little bit. And maybe the feeling of vastness is scary. Or maybe it's really empowering. So as things start to slow around you, you can still see the lights coming by you, but it's like you're moving through a bit of a tunnel. And that purple flame is absolutely still with you, allowing you to control what you're doing and still transmuting everything around you. Just letting the excess burn off. Fantastic. Take a scan from top to bottom, starting from above the crown. You can even use one of your hands if you'd like and see if you can sense anything up here. For me, when I put my hand over here, I can actually feel a pressure go down through my body. That's just right now. It's not always like that. And then if I go into the third eye, I can actually see just giant rings around. Huge. Just scan all the way down, see if you can feel anything in the air around you. So this is also a really nice way to basically stroke your aura back down, finish clearing the field, and allowing that energy to go back towards the earth, which is ultimately grounding. So that imagery, when we utilize this purple flame, right? But tonight's meditation has been about allowing the expansiveness to happen, but also allowing the clearing to happen without a ton of effort. You know, don't forget that you are so powerful, and your thoughts and your intentions are exactly what allows you to heal or not heal. And if, like Mike said, your brain is an a-hole, continue to address those places that are hurt and that are seemingly controlling how much healing you're able to do. And if you need help with that, then reach out and we'll try to direct you properly. do not forget that this is a practice. Do not forget for 1 second that we are all humans seeking this type of healing and compassion, and that none of us are immune to these big emotions. So we clear the field and we continue to gain higher vibratory status, and then something might take us back down and we acknowledge that, and then we continue to practice. So as the body returns back into this physical being, again, just checking in with the breath. Seeing how the heart is doing. It's feeling tight in the chest, the shoulders. Don't ignore those things. If you feel like that, either get work done or start stretching and really attending to yourself, because there is no part of your being that hasn't told you what it's needed. There's not. Your body doesn't lie to you. It tells you exactly what it needs. So tap back into that area. Tap back into this human form. And then begin grounding the energy so you're not floating up in the ethers. Deep inhale. On your exhale, just do 3 ohms. Next 3 exhales. Om. Remember, they don't have to sound pretty. My voice is pretty tired. Doesn't matter. It's all about the intent. And then you can continue, actually, like sometimes making it into a hum, and I can feel the vibrations go down further and further and further. And then when I can see them settling into my feet, and I can feel like the feet being powered up, so to speak, then I know that I'm back down. So for me, that was like a heavier Sunday night session. And if you didn't get to hear the beginning part, please go back and listen. But pretty much you're all going to be processing some energy. So as usual, I'll say the same, but just a reminder that make sure you write. Lots and lots of caring to yourself. Seeing, tapping in tonight, starting tonight, if you're not doing it already, tapping into yourself. What do I need tonight? What do I need in this moment? Maybe I need some more water to start me off. Maybe I need to massage my feet. Get yourself settled into your body before you start taking yourself back out, going on the phone and looking at extra stuff, or doing other work, or just starting to watch a movie. Take some time after a meditation like this and really work on just being in it. Remember, meditation doesn't equal peace and calm all the time, but it definitely means processing and transformation. So my advice is just to be prepared for whatever comes, in the sense of it's all good. It's all good. So if you have something you want to share before I open it to my Zoom people, you can just type right now. Hopefully I'll get it fast. Either a question or feedback, it's all available. And I'll take a breath as we do that. If you guys on Zoom want to unmute. And maybe not. Maybe they won't unmute. Okay. So.
Sorry.
That's okay.
I got writing and I'm on my 7th page, so I got busy.
Perfect. I like that. Oh, Katie, you're on. I'm glad. You're welcome. Hey, Jamie. How come I can see everybody now? So if you guys, want to say anything before I sign off, like this is the perfect time to type a question or just tell me what your experience was with tonight's stuff. You're welcome. I like that you guys had date night watching me. That's love. That is love. So, were you in the flame? Yes, I'm saying yes is in the dark. I see Renee's tiny little face in the darkness. So the purple flame has many names. I'm not going to go into them, but I think the most amazing thing about it is that if you can access this flame, when we use tools, it basically takes the energetic burden off of the person and allows them to actually utilize something that can do the work for you. So that's why toolkits are so amazing. So I speak about toolkits in terms of what we do to feel good and ground ourselves, right? But also there's toolkits for literally just healing purposes, specifically stones, visualizations, what else? I use my sound healing stuff. Hey, Billy, late to the game, but you're here. Yay. All these things that seem like, oh, they're just helpers. No, they literally do the work. So don't forget to access them. That purple flame is huge. It's like one of the biggest and easiest ways to really allow things to transform. I use water a lot for clearing, but the purple flame actually does it faster if you're able to get there. So that's just my thought. And if you were able to see the space in the galaxy, oh, I forgot to mention, if you didn't see what I wrote about Monday when I went to Shosugiban out east, I got to experience a lot of things, but that day I got to hear the biggest gong that I've ever seen in my life. And that's where I got that visualization from, because it felt like the cosmos were running through me. Not like I was in them. They were just running through me. And then when my friends Colleen and Laura opened their eyes, they said the same thing. They were like, cosmos? Like, what? So we had this uniform experience with something that we couldn't even fathom. Like, our brains were like, what just happened? So yeah, what's up, friends? Tired, done, emotionally spent? Is that about right? Perfect. All right, so if nobody's talkative, that's fine.
Hi, how are you?
Billy,
I didn't
Billy,
so I'm done right now.
I know, but we just had like a deep thing, so. All right, so I'm going to sign off on Facebook. Guys, if you want to add anything after the video's off, just don't hesitate. I'll make sure to go check and check the comments, because sometimes I don't see them. All right, namaste. I love you all. Please share with others, okay?